Welcome to the Aesthetic Doctor podcast. I'm Sarah, and I have to admit something. Just this morning, I caught my reflection during a video call and thought, is that really how I look? I know I'm not alone in this, and that's exactly why today's topic is so important. We're diving deep into the psychology of aging with Dr. Rogier Meulenaar, one of Europe's leading experts in aesthetic medicine. With over 20 years of experience in helping people navigate these exact feelings. Dr. Meulenaar, why do these mirror moments affect us so deeply?
You know, Sarah, that morning mirror moment you described, I hear similar stories from patients every single day. And what's fascinating is that it's not just about vanity. The latest research reveals something remarkable. How we perceive our aging actually rewires our brain chemistry. During the pandemic, we witnessed this on an unprecedented scale. People spending hours on video calls were suddenly confronted with their own image in ways they'd never been before. We called it the Zoom effect, but it unveiled something much deeper about our relationship with aging.
You mentioned brain chemistry. That's unexpected. How exactly does what we see in the mirror affect what's happening inside our minds?
Picture this. Every time you look in the mirror, your brain is doing much more than just processing an image. It's triggering a cascade of neurochemical reactions. We found that when someone feels disconnected from their reflection, it can actually lower serotonin levels. That's our happiness hormone. But here's what's really fascinating. When we help patients align their outer appearance with their inner self image, we see measurable improvements in their brain chemistry. Recent studies at Stanford showed a 60% reduction in anxiety markers after patients underwent subtle aesthetic treatments. But, and this is crucial, it's not about erasing age. It's about helping people feel like themselves again.
I think a lot of our listeners might be thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how do you actually help someone reconnect with their reflection without making them look, well, done?
That's exactly the right question, Sarah. Let me share something that happened just last week. A patient, let's call her Emma, came in clutching her phone with photos from 5 years ago. But what struck me wasn't the photos, it was what she said next. I don't need to look like this again. I just want to feel like myself when I'm presenting to my board. This is where our approach is different. Before we even discuss treatments, we do what I call a mirror meditation. We actually sit with patients and explore their reflection together. It's not about spotting flaws, it's about understanding their story. With Emma, we discovered her concerns weren't really about her laugh lines. They were about feeling authoritative in her C suite role. So we developed a plan that went beyond just aesthetic treatments. Yes, we did some subtle work, but we also addressed her sleep patterns, stress management, and created a skincare routine that made her feel more in control.
That mirror meditation approach is fascinating. But once you understand someone's story, how do you translate that into actual results?
You know what? Let me break this down using what I call our triangle of transformation. Picture three connected points, each one essential for lasting results. At the top, we have the medical science. Just yesterday, I was explaining to a patient how her skin's collagen production had decreased by 30% since her 40s. That's the reality we're working with. But here's where it gets interesting. The second point is psychological readiness. We might have the perfect treatment plan, but if someone's pursuing it because their partner made an unkind comment, we need to address that first. The third point, and this is where most practices fall short, is lifestyle integration. The most advanced treatment in the world won't help if someone's getting 4 hours of sleep and living on coffee.
I love this triangle concept. Can you walk us through how this actually transforms someone's journey?
Absolutely. Let me tell you about Sophie. She's actually given me permission to share her story because it perfectly demonstrates this interplay. She came to us about her frown lines, classic stress lines between the brows. But during our mirror meditation, something fascinating emerged. As a tech CEO, she was doing video calls with Silicon Valley at 11 p.m., then Asia at 5 a.m. Those frown lines, they weren't just about aging, they were her body's stress diary. So we approached it from all 3 points of our triangle. Yes, we used targeted botulinum toxin for the frown lines. That's the medical science. But we also worked with her executive coach on meeting boundaries. That's the psychological piece. And for lifestyle, we created what we call a tech-free sanctuary hour before bed. 3 months later, not only did she look more refreshed, but her board actually commented on her enhanced presence in meetings.
What strikes me about Sophie's story is how the visible changes were almost a side effect of the deeper transformation.
Exactly. And you know what's remarkable? We're now seeing hard science that validates these holistic results. A groundbreaking study from Yale University tracked 1,000 professionals over 5 years. Those who transformed their relationship with aging, not just their appearance, showed a 40% increase in workplace confidence, and incredibly, their biological markers suggested they were aging more slowly. Even more fascinating, researchers at Harvard found that positive self perception of aging doesn't just make you feel better, it can actually add up to 7.5 years to your life expectancy. That's more powerful than not smoking or maintaining a healthy weight.
Those studies are mind blowing. For our listeners who are feeling inspired right now, where should they start?
I love this question because it leads to immediate action. I've developed what I call the 3 R's challenge, something anyone can start tonight. First, there's reflect, but not how you might think. Tonight, I want you to look in the mirror for 2 full minutes, not focusing on what you change, but noticing 3 things you like. We found this simple shift begins to rewire those neural pathways we talked about earlier. The second R is reframe. Catch yourself when you use aging as a negative. Instead of I'm getting old, try I'm gaining experience. It sounds simple, but remember that Harvard study, this mental shift literally adds years to your life. The final R is reach. Reach out to experts, yes, but also reach for knowledge. We've created a free guide called Your Aging Journey that explains the science behind everything we've discussed today. You can download it at our website, but more importantly, use it to start conversations with healthcare providers who understand this holistic approach.
I think there might be listeners who are resonating with everything you're saying, but they're held back by that fear of looking, well, done.
That fear of looking artificial is probably the number one concern I hear, and I actually love when patients bring this up. It shows they're thinking critically. Let me share something that happened recently with a client, a prominent news anchor who literally makes her living with her face. She came in with a folder of cautionary tales she'd collected from social media, celebrities who'd gone too far. What we did next surprised her. Instead of discussing treatments, we looked at photos of women she admired, mostly accomplished professionals in their 50s and 60s. What she noticed was fascinating. She couldn't tell who'd had work done and who hadn't. That's our invisible aesthetics philosophy in action. When done right, aesthetic medicine shouldn't create a new face. It should reveal your most authentic self. The news anchor? 6 months later, she won an industry award, and in her acceptance speech, she mentioned feeling more confident than ever. Not because she looked different, but because she looked like herself, just more refreshed. The best part? Her makeup artist just thinks she's been getting more sleep.
You mentioned something intriguing earlier about showing patients a scientific visualization of their aging process. How does that work?
Imagine having a time machine for your face. That's essentially what our new AI imaging technology does. But here's what makes it revolutionary. Instead of showing you an unrealistic perfect version, it reveals your natural aging trajectory and how different choices, from skincare to treatments, might influence it. Let me give you a recent example. Last month, a professor of architecture came to see us. As someone who works with 3D visualization daily, she was skeptical. But when we showed her how combining subtle treatments, think of it like restoration work on a beautiful historic building, could preserve her natural features while softening certain areas, she got it immediately. We created what we call a harmony plan. A bit of skin boosting here, some gentle muscle relaxation there, all working together like instruments in an orchestra.
I know we have listeners right now who are feeling deeply connected to everything we've discussed. What would you suggest as their first step on this journey?
You know, I believe the most powerful first step is simply acknowledging where you are right now. We've created what we call the Aging Journey Compass. It's a free, science based self assessment that helps you understand your unique relationship with aging. It takes just 10 minutes, but it gives you incredible insights into your personal aging journey.
And once they have these insights, that's when the real transformation begins. The assessment comes with our comprehensive guide, The Science of Aging Confidently, which breaks down everything we've discussed today, from the Yale research to practical daily routines. But here's what I really want everyone to remember: aging isn't your enemy, it's your story, and you have more control over that story than you might think. Dr. Meulenaar, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this fascinating topic. Thank you for sharing these insights with us today. For our listeners who want to learn more, you can find the Aging Journey Compass and book a consultation at www.praktikvorinjectables.nl.
And remember, your journey starts with that first step, whether it's trying our 2-minute mirror meditation tonight or taking the assessment. You deserve to feel confident at every age.
Absolutely beautiful way to end. Join us next week when we'll be exploring another interesting topic.